Master Johnson Field here for the Ontario Fighting and Martial Arts Championship, and I am here with five-time world champion and the president of WAKO Canada,
Muzammal Nawaz.
So we are currently at Frosty Friends here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and we're having a really fantastic time with all the different sparring events, lessons, and form. But I want to talk to Matt here just about how did you get started in the whole kickboxing.
Okay, well, for me it's exciting because the one nice thing about kickboxing is it takes in all disciplines of martial arts. So whether you're a karate practitioner or a taekwondo practitioner or a Muay Thai practitioner, there's always a place for those clubs and those participants to be involved with WAKO Canada. My background is karate. I did karate for many years, received my black belt in Waterloo style. Then I started training in taekwondo, competed at the Taekwondo World Championships in England. One thing I loved about both sports is that there's so many similarities. And the one nice thing about WAKO and WAKO Canada is it involves all martial arts disciplines within the organization. So we're excited. We run 6 tournaments a year. This is one of our development tournaments. And the objective of the development tournaments is to try and get as many newer competitors competing in amateur kickboxing. We have a number of different disciplines in amateur kickboxing. Light contact, which is very similar to taekwondo sparring. We have light contact with leg kicks, what we call kick light. And then we have our traditional point sparring, which most people are familiar with. So at the tournament in Cobourg, which we're incredibly excited to be co-promoting with yourself, we'll be having divisions in point sparring, continuous point sparring, kick light, which is the continuous point sparring with leg kicks, and then we'll have forms and weapons.
As well as fighting sparring.
As well as one of the most exciting new programs we started a number of years ago is tag team sparring, where we have 3 people on a team. They compete for a 4-minute round, and they can tag people in the safety zone at any time during that 4-minute round. So it's an incredibly fast-paced, action-oriented sport, and clubs get to compete as clubs. I mean, people love, competing and supporting the Toronto Raptors, their favorite, football, basketball, hockey team, but now they can actually support their club team.
Yeah, there's something about a team, right? Tell us something about that.
Absolutely. So we're incredibly excited. The WAKO Canada has been growing in leaps and bounds. I think part of the growth comes from we really encourage a lot of the professional martial arts schools to become involved with us. We're not really interested in creating fighters. We really want to create young athletes, people that just want to get the opportunities to compete, have fun, enjoy themselves, learn something, have it part of their martial arts learning legacy. And that's why we're finding we're getting so many clubs getting involved in.
So developing the character of the athlete is way more important than the actual wins of the athlete.
Absolutely. One of the things that WAKO Canada does is we actually have coaching certification. We have our level 1 and our level 2 courses. We are trying to encourage coaches. We're not here to tell people how to punch and kick and what my way of teaching and your way. We want to look at what are some centers of excellence in our sport. Also, what are some center of excellence in all sports? And so we draw upon elite coaching in basketball, hockey, football, soccer, figure skating, learning from those coaches what our coaches and instructors in martial arts can do to become better. So the creation of character, excellence, wellness, that's all part of the WAKO Canada tradition of creating well-rounded, holistic people. So when they come back to your school or whichever school they come from, they bring back more than just coaching athletes, but they actually bring character development. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm so excited to be part of WAKO Canada.
What actually got you involved with WAKO Canada? What was that one thing that started a little bit?
You know what? For years, I competed as an amateur athlete. I competed as a professional. I love competition. I know for myself, especially growing up, there was always the talk around when will kickboxing be an Olympic sport. And we know Taekwondo is in the Olympics. We know karate is now in the Olympics, but we also know karate is now out of the Olympics, and there's a good chance that Taekwondo will be out of the Olympics.
That's correct, yeah.
And so I know for myself when I saw, and I've been part of a number of different organizations, and I never speak badly about anybody. I think in the end, we're all trying to go down that same path of creating more opportunities for our kids, more opportunities for our clubs and our schools. The one thing I love about WAKO is they're moving down the Olympic pathway. And so when I found out that it was accepted, it was the first organization for kickboxing to be accepted into the IOC, I knew they were doing exactly what we wanted to do, that they were moving in that direction. So I became involved with what they were doing. Part of the requirement for WAKO is that every country works with their Ministry of Sport. So we be working with now our Ministry of Sport at the federal level and in every province and territory, trying to get provincially and territorially recognized sporting groups. And that alone was the biggest reason why I love WAKO, because it said that we need to be like every other sport. I think sometimes, we say we love martial arts, we love kickboxing, but the average Canadian doesn't really know what we do.
No.
And very often they think we're doing some weird, martial art thing out there. But why don't we actually dream of having people look at kickboxing and martial arts the way they look at like hockey and skating? Why can't we be the same? And the only way we'll ever achieve that is if we follow the same pathway that other sports do. And because WAKO moved down the IOC direction, the Olympic pathway, that's the same direction that we want to go. And I know my school's in Burlington. The possibility of one day one of my athletes representing Canada at the Olympic Games would be a dream for me as a coach. I think it would be a dream for my city. I think any other club that's there that looks at that opportunity, I think is fantastic. Most kids go into hockey with the dream of one day competing in the NHL, and that may or may not happen. And I think in our sport, that opportunity is something that's becoming more and more real. So that was my initial reason for getting involved with WAKO many years ago. What keeps me getting involved now is WAKO is getting together the professional martial arts schools in Canada to become involved with us. Schools that do focus on character, wellness, excellence, honor, respect, but they still want to create good quality athletes. And we have that right here with WAKO Canada.
That's basically why I joined you guys. I like to your vision for it, and taking the martial arts as a whole and not segregating. We were talking off camera about these segregations, but we're focused on bringing everybody together, right? I know you teach a lot of kids. What's your favorite aspect of teaching kids?
He's loving it.
What I love about coaching kids is the chance that you want to see a kid have a series of goals and be positive that they've achieved one of them. I mean, often when kids come to competitions, all we really talk about is winning and losing. I think the first thing you have to do is you have to call your parents or your friends ask you, did you win?
Correct, yeah.
And when a child hasn't won, I mean, it can be very, down on them. And not that I think we should be not focusing on the creation of excellence. I think excellence is very important. What I focus on with my kids is having 2 or 3 goals. So one goal could be that, today's competition I'm going to focus on going forward. Today's competition I'm going to try and train as hard as or compete as hard as I did in the last round that I did in the first round. I'm going to really focus on 2 or 3 techniques that I want to achieve. And if I can look at my student and say, you know what, today you achieved goal 1, 2, and goal 4. High five, fantastic. Now goal 3 we still need to work on. And maybe one of those goals was to try and win that tournament. So maybe you didn't achieve that one goal, but you achieved 2 or 3 more. And that's what I love about coaching. And I think it's taken me a number of years, because I went through the old school where we fought hard, and it was all about winning. And if you got hurt, you manned up and you kept going. Where I've kept the same tradition about hard work. I still believe in resilience and grit. I want my kids to work hard in the gym and at the competition, but I want them to be goal focused. And I think that's what I like to do with the kids that I train. And that's sometimes it's harder to do with athletes that are older because they've had years of programming and bad habits. And whereas I can take my kids start at a really young age at my school, and by the time they're 8 or 9 years old, they've actually understood what a journal is. They know how to talk about successes. They know how to talk about improvements. They know what a growth mindset is. And right away, if I get them competing, then they're focusing on that level.
That's right. No, as a world champion racer, James said sometimes you go out there and you didn't win your division if you didn't close that one extra four, that one extra piece of country. That alone is a personal victory, and it's that progression. So you're always progressing, you're always winning in that mindset.
Absolutely. And I think the more we can start looking at our kids and saying, your success should be setting a goal, working very hard to get there, having that goal, learning from it. You know, Albert North Whitehead once said that experience is not what happens to somebody, experience is what somebody does with what happens to them. So you have a loss, you know, take that loss and learn something. You have a win, take that win and learn something. You know, and if you can improve every single time you go out, then we talk about, you know, transferring that into your daily life. You know, what is it I need to do? What's my goals today? What's my goals in school? You know, what do I want to achieve at the end of this year of school? And I think if we keep encouraging that, then kids start to see that it's not just about the marks that you get in school, but it's the learning that you've gotten from it. So you may not have gotten the A+ average, but you know what? You learned a lot more about quadratic equations this year than you thought you would ever learn. You know, and I only say that because I had a hard time with quadratic equations.
I mean quadratic equations too. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah.
So I mean, I taught high school and middle school for a few years, and you know, I loved education, but I realized I loved teaching in the martial arts environment much more, because I think the physical body, like actually training your body linked to learning, is far more powerful than teaching in a classroom. So I have an incredible amount of respect for teachers. I was one for many years, but I think the martial arts teacher has so much more to give.
Oh, for sure. And I know this is our first Lakeville tournament for sparring, and you know, we've got a bunch of silvers. We didn't win them all, but I definitely saw where we worked upon, and all the athletes are already super excited about what we're talking about. The little gold and working on those fine little details. So, I just wanted to thank you, sir.
Oh, you're
and
quite welcome.
I look forward to the tournament tonight.
I'll say to any club that, you know, wants to try it out. I mean, I know sometimes when you hear the term kickboxing, it may seem like a little bit overwhelming, and you're like, no, we just do taekwondo, or we just do karate. My suggestion is just come on out. I mean, when we do our development tournaments, we really control the level of contact. The idea is not to try and knock people out, but to win based on points. So all of our bouts will be 2 or 3 rounds. You'll come in, you'll compete, and we have completely trained officials. We have a very solid medical safety model that we use. So your competitors will be safe, whether they're young 10-year-olds or, you know, experienced black belts that want to try the competition. And you'll get a chance to actually compete with kickboxing, karate, taekwondo, Muay Thai, savate, all the different variations that we have in the martial arts in a very safe and controlled environment. And we, you know, it's your first taste of WAKO Canada, and hopefully you'll be hooked.
Yeah, so this year at the Ontario Martial Arts Championship, on top of the WAKO, we also have our WGA Breaking Championship. We're actually hosting the North American Championship this year, as well as we're also having the no-gi grappling tournament as well. So make sure you go on the website, the OntarioBreaking.com or the WAKOCanada.org website, and check out all the details. Thank you.
See you there.